Baba expressed a wish that he had to be at a place in North India. We were in the south of India, in Satara, and from there we had to go to the north of the country, and he wanted to be there on a certain day. It was a journey of about 1,000 miles or so, and he told me to keep the car ready and that he would set out on a particular day and we'll go there. So I drove him, and that driving was day and night through rugged roads and through good roads, through cities, towns, villages. And there, after a journey of 36 hours, he tells me to stop the car on the roadside. And then he tells me to get the map of India, road map, and he spreads it on the road, and he sits there on the road and asks me, where are we here? So I point out that we are close to this big city. And he just nodded his head and said, is it possible for you to take me back to Satara in 24 hours time? I said, Baba, it has taken 36 hours for us. It will be a very fast driving then. We don't know, I'll try, but it's reckless driving then. He said, no, day and night will go. I said, yeah, we are day and night traveling. He said, try, let's go back, come on, turn the car and let's go back home. Well, he drove all that distance, and then all of a sudden he stops the car and he says, drive me back home. So naturally, I just turned the car on the road and we are heading towards Satara itself. I am driving the car at breakneck speed. I am going faster, 90 miles an hour, shooting, you see, and just goes, and he says, faster still, faster still, faster still, and all that. At last, it's past midnight, and I don't see anything now, just I see a tunnel, and we are shooting through a tunnel like a rocket, you see. And that's my experience that is there. It's all right, doesn't matter. And Baba, the compassionate one, keeps company by keeping those three others who were with us occupied with conversation so that I don't doze or something like that, because already it's now 48 hours of driving, you see. So what is there? So I'm just going with full speed, and sure enough, we did reach Satara within 24 hours of the time, the appointed time. I made it. And Baba, of course, as usual, well done, he says, well done, we are on time. What that meant, I don't know. And then he gave me a day's rest to sleep and come back the next day from the Mandali quarters. We are now all assembled in another cottage that is there, which was specially rented for his seclusion work. Ladies stayed at a different cottage, men stayed at a different cottage, and this was his office cottage, special. So we are there, I still remember there, Baba is seated and all that. And Baba, in front of the other Mandali, is praising me, saying, what speed, see how he drove, see how it is. And whenever he praises, remember one thing, that we have to be very alert about that, because something terrible is going to come in our way, which you will have to execute, you see. Immediately I piped in and I said, yeah, we did reach, there is no doubt about it, we reached in time, I was myself surprised and all that. I folded my hands and I said, Baba, now release me of this driving. It is suicidal. You are with me and I have to drive you. And this is not the way to be driven like that, especially when you are with me. I did tell him that. And says, you're mad? What's there? Then I described to him, Baba, I never saw the road at all. I just saw that I was driving in a tunnel and we were just rocketing through it. There was no such thing as driving or anything of the sort. I am there, why are you feeling like that and all that? And he tried to pacify me. But I was serious about it. I was serious about it because I knew that there was something within me, something was telling me that this sort of recklessness will not do again. He says, forget about it, just keep the car ready and it's all right, fine, the car is fine, everything is fine, what is going to happen? No, but Baba, now I'm so tired of this sort of driving, sometimes I get, my mind is such that, well, I just want to steer the car and just get myself dashed against the tree and just, that's the end of it all. You're mad. So such was my petition to him to release me from the driving.
On May 24, 1952, while traveling across the American continent from South Carolina to California, the 1952 Nash carrying Avatar Meher Baba was involved in a serious car accident in Oklahoma. Meher Baba injured the entire left side of his body, and his female disciples traveling with him suffered serious injuries. On December 2nd, 1956, while traveling from Pune to Satara on the Indian continent, the 1952 Chevrolet carrying Avatar Meher Baba was involved in a serious car accident near Satara. Meher Baba injured the entire right side of his body, and his male disciples traveling with him also suffered serious injuries and death. This is the story of the second accident, which affected not only Meher Baba and those traveling with him, but all those close to him and the entire universe. The story of the events leading up to the incident of the accident began 18 months prior, when Meher Baba arranged a cricket match to be played by himself and 20 others that he called for the game. Meherwan Jessawala, a close disciple of Meher Baba, participated in the game and tells his story of this cricket match and how it relates to the accident which occurred 18 months later.
It was the year 1955 and Baba was at Satara at that time, and he was very strict about not seeing anyone except the close Mandali that were with him in Satara, or any of those who would be called by him for some work. And most of the time he would be spending making hectic must tours all over the country, especially close by towns of Satara like Sangli, Kolhapur, Miraj and all these places, and contacting musts day and night. And it was mid-June or something, yes. And Baba let it be known that he wanted a cricket match to be played nearby. So Baba asked Pendu and the other Mandali to look out for a good place where a match could be played. He wanted outside lovers of his also to participate. So then there was one site chosen by Pendu in a nearby town called Udtara. It was about 13 miles on the Satara-Pune highway. So Pendu thought Baba would like this, and Baba was taken to the place one day, and immediately he said, yes, this is a very good spot. Now get the cricket pitch ready. So Pendu was getting it ready. He wanted the match to be played on a certain date. I think it was about middle of June or something, 17th or 18th, I forget the exact date. So we arrived there early in the morning, might be 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, quite early. And then we drove into this government rest house, which was adjoining the highway. And all the cars drove in, and then we assembled at the place where the match was to be held. And all of us gathered around Baba, and then Baba gets us together and says, look, I've called you all here to play this cricket match. Now, I have some very important spiritual work to be accomplished playing this match. So I want you all to be extremely serious about participating in this game. You are not to fool around here as if it's a picnic or something. So try to win, each side must try to win the game. And I want you all to play your very best, and I want sincere effort from you all. So we realized what it was, and we said, yes, Baba. And then there were about 20 of us gathered there. So he made the division of 10 players on each side. And in cricket, you need 11 players. So Baba says, as we are short of 2, I'll be the 11th player, playing on both sides. So, and he selected the 2 captains of the 2 sides. So Sarosh was one captain, and Nariman was selected as the other captain. And I remember I myself, and I remember Jangu, we were on Sarosh's side, and the rest I can't recollect who were on which side. But that's how the teams Baba selected to play in each side. And then he asked the captains to toss a coin to decide who wants to bat first. That's the usual practice in a cricket match. So one of the captains tossed up the coin, and I think Sarosh called and Nariman flipped the coin or something. And Sarosh called right. So he said, we'll bat Baba first, we'll bat first. Baba says, so be it. So we started batting, and the match commenced. And I think Baba was the wicket keeper for the teams, and so on. So I'm just giving you the idea of how much we were into the game, and sort of shouting and making noises, and there was a lot of excitement around, and we were going on with the game and piling up runs. We were generally the younger side, so we piled on quite a big number of runs. And then when we were all out, it was Baba declared half time. And then thereafter a few refreshments and a rest, Baba led us back on the field, and the next team started to bat, Nariman's side. So we were younger players, and I think there were many elderly on their side. So they started to get out cheaply. And at one time it appeared that we would beat them hollow. Just then Baba said, now I'll be batting on their side. So Baba started to bat, and after a few overs or something, the piles really began to hurt him a lot. Running, because you had to make the runs between those wickets and had to run fast. So he called for a runner. He asked our captain permission to have a runner, as is the etiquette in cricket. So a runner was given, and Baba was hitting away, and he started to belt the bowling like all over the field. So however much we tried to block his shots, we couldn't succeed. And he was scoring fast and quick, and by the time we realized what was happening, the score became even. Just then Baba says, enough. He called it a day for the match. And Baba said he was very happy with the game, the way it was played, and he was most satisfied that his work was accomplished. What that meant to us then we didn't know. And then later on, when the accident took place in December of that year, December 2nd, and Nariman and myself were driving to Satara with an ambulance to supposedly bring Eruch and Pendu back to Pune for better treatment. We stopped at the place where the accident took place, and looking up we saw it was exactly opposite where we had played the cricket match. So it was then we realized what Baba was telling us, that he had some very important work to do there in that match. And I suppose he was preparing the site for this incident to occur here. So that's the time we realized the significance of the cricket match. Yeah.
1 year later, in June of 1956, Baba was attending to correspondence when Baba suddenly asked Eruch to take down a note. That note later became Life Circular 29.
This was in 1956, sometime in June 1956, that Baba had called me to Meherabad for a month or so. And Baba had come from Satara. He was still in seclusion, but he decided to come and stay here for a few days, rest and recuperation before his intended trip to the West in 1956. Baba used to sit in this room, which is room number 4 now, and he would see visitors here, or he would be with the Mandali in this room, which is slightly bigger than the adjoining room here. In 1956, there was no Mandali hall, and Baba would meet with people from outside in this room, or when he would be sitting with the Mandali during the day, he would come and sit here. And it was during one of those occasions that we were seated around Baba, a few of us, and Eruch was, I think, reading some correspondence or something, and just then Baba said to Eruch, go and bring pencil and paper. So Eruch went to his room and got pencil and paper, and he says, take down what I give you now. And then Baba gave out this message that Eruch took down, and it formed Life Circular number 29, dated 5th July 1956. And the title to it was A Message from Avatar Meher Baba in His Seclusion. As declared in the past, I am free from promises and am not bound by time and space. Though all happenings are in the realm of illusion, a great so-called tragedy is facing me and my lovers. My long-expected humiliation is near at hand. This may happen tomorrow or any day of this year, or it may happen next year. The love, courage and faith of my lovers will be put to severe test, not by me, but by divine law. Those who hold fast to me at the zenith of this crisis will transcend illusion and abide in reality. I want my lovers to rest assured that my humiliation and tragedy, though necessary, are but passing phases which are bound to have a glorious end, as is destined. My love to all. And so that's how this life circular was sent out. And I was witness to Baba dictating this circular. Yeah. And it brings out how Baba has pre-planned all the activities that were taking place, and that are due to the infinite love that he bears for his creation, that he takes upon himself this suffering that was to come to him very soon. Yeah.
In July of 1956, Meher Baba, along with his Mandali, returned to America and then Australia to visit his Western lovers there. Returning to the Myrtle Beach Center for the first time after his 1952 accident in Oklahoma, Baba gracefully walked the grounds of the center he established in 1948. Baba effortlessly flowed when he walked. He walked like a man without a worry or a care, and yet was still completely present in this world. After returning to India, Baba continued his seclusion and masked work in Satara, where Baba had been staying in the Grafton bungalow on and off since 1954. On November 29, 1956, Baba told his Mandali that the last month of his year-long seclusion would hold greater suffering for himself and those close to him. Just 3 days later, on the pretext of going to watch a cricket match and to do some important work, Baba left Satara for Pune. Eruch Jessawala describes the events of December 2nd, 1956.
So he said, he summoned 2 or 3 of us and said, look, I want you all to accompany me on 2nd of December. We will do one thing. with one pebble, we will strike two birds. One is, we'll go and see that good match, cricket match that is there. And the second thing is that I have got some very important work to do. And the important work is such, the importance of it is such that we should keep fast the full day on 2nd of December while we are there. And when we come back also we should not. Not only fast means no food, but we should not even take water, not even a sip of water. You follow? So, yeah, it was not unusual, it was a usual thing, sometimes you do that. But not even water was something unusual for that day. It sounded like that. What sort of an important work is that? What is that? And that time, that period was such that he was in seclusion and nobody should try to contact him and nobody should try to see him. It is 1956, December. Circular was sent out. So Baba said, we'll go out in the early morning, come back and just rest, and next morning we break the fast and that's fine. But do one thing, because I was the one who had to take charge of Baba's drinking water. There will be the can for drinking water from the women's side. They would just tie some little snacks for Baba and for us, who were with him. So he said, don't refuse that. Let nobody know that we will be on fast. If the women were to know that, then they will worry unnecessarily. Just keep whatever they give, offer, just take it and keep it in the dicky and don't tell anybody. I said, all right. That's how we set out. We haven't set out yet, but that's how we are prepared. Now this is second morning, December 1956. The car is parked in the Mandali cottage there. Meherji has come there. So Baba had allowed Meherji to have a ride in car so that we can drop him in Pune, but he was told not to tell anybody that Baba is in Pune. And from there we had to pick up Vishnu, who was in Pune, instead of Meherji. Meherji would be dropped there and Vishnu will be taken, who was one of the Mandali. So now what happens is this, that naturally Meherji and Pendu, Dr. Nilkant, three of them are there on the rear seat. Meherji, Vishnu, Pendu and Dr. Nilkant. Four of them are there. No, Vishnu is not there, I am sorry. Meherji, Dr. Nilkant and Pendu are in the rear seat. Baba in the front seat and myself the driver. The team is like that. So I have to now get the car out of Mandali quarter and go to a place called Grafton Bungalow to collect Baba and from there to go to Pune. So while I am taking the car out of the gate, all of a sudden a Parsi priest, passes by on the roadside. Meherji being of the priestly class, his ancestors were priests too. He is also a priest, ordained priest. So Meherji says, oh my, a sight of a priest, you know what it means, Eruch? I said, what does it mean? Sure death in the house. I said, what are you talking nonsense about it? And I drove the car. But you know how the mind gets impressed? All of a sudden that gave me the thought that I hadn't carried a driving license with me, if something might happen. So I stopped the car on the road. I said, what happened? I said, well, I forgot my driving license. I must take it. So I ran inside and got the driving license. See how the premonitions are created. Well, then we go to Baba's place. I drive the car there. It's short distance. So Baba is ready. Baba comes and sits there. The women dole out Baba's water can and little packet of snacks and all that. And then we go out. In the meantime, Baba asks me, have you any money with you? I said, no. So Baba tells Goher to get some money to be given to me in case of emergency, anything. So she goes to get money from the house, and Baba says, now start, let's go. I said, you told Goher to get the money, we'll stop. No, you just go, come on, hurry. So poor Goher has gone inside, has come out running, and she's shouting, stop, Eruch, stop, and she's running behind a car. I said, Baba, Goher is coming. I said, all right, stop. Baba had a good little laugh, making Goher run, Yeah, I still remember that. And then I took the money and put it in my pocket and we set out. It was fine. Very pleasant drive. We dropped Meherji there. We went to the Gymkhana there to witness the match. Baba kept himself aloof, outside, not in the stand, but under a tree. And it was fine. We were having a good view of it. Baba enjoyed it. There is nothing to eat, nothing to drink, nothing to worry about anything, but just to view it. And we were having a good time. It's about 3 o'clock or about 3:15 like that, 3 o'clock, and we are having a good view. All of a sudden, to our surprise, we see 4 people coming towards us, and they are close ones of Pune, Baba people. They saw the car, they spotted the car, and they thought that the car is here, Baba's car is here, means Baba must be here. They have been told not to try to or attempt to see Baba. And yet they did that. And they came closer and closer. So I spotted and I said, Baba, these people are coming over here. So I said, tell them not to come here. Did they not receive a circular like that? So I went there and I stop them from coming. But they said, no, from a distance we'll just have Baba's darshan and then go away. We are not going to disturb him. But I said, you were told not even to attempt to see him. Why do you do that? They turn their backs and go away. But what has happened is this, that was a disturbance in Baba's work. And Baba says, now come on, let's go. Let's go back. Baba was displeased, disturbed. Let's go back.
Returning from the cricket match, Baba told Eruch to drive to Baba's house in Pune to drop his brother Jal off. Baba visited with his family and then asked his nephews Rustom and Sohrab, who were 11 years old at the time, to go and get their marbles to play a game.
Well, the story goes that Rustom and I were 11 years old in this house, and on that day before Baba went to Satara, Baba visited his family here in this house, in Baba house. That's his house, yeah? Rustom and I will never forget the way Baba walked through the lane with the Mandali following him with an umbrella, Jal holding an umbrella, he walking like a king, as if he was gliding in the air. Baba walked in the steps here and we all were waiting there, my parents and everyone. Baba met everyone here, and we all were standing here and Baba met us and embraced us and all that, and Baba stood here and here itself is to go and get marbles, Baba said. So Baba said, bring the marbles, bag of marbles. So Rustom and I were very, very excited that Baba was going to play a game of marbles with us. So Baba walked and we ran after Baba with the bag of marbles. Baba walked through here and went into this room. That was Jal's room. And we followed Baba. Baba sat on the bed it was Jal's bed. He sat on one end of the bed, and Rustom and I climbed up and sat on the other end of the bed. This is the door that was Jal's room. So Baba opened the door, went inside. There was a bed on this side, a wrought iron bed that was there. And Baba climbed up on the bed, sat on one side, and Rustom and I climbed up and sat up on the second side. And this is the whole story took place on the marbles here. So I took out a bunch of marbles and put it in the center of the bed. Baba took a big striker, a marble. Rustom and I took each a striker in our fingers like that. And the game is that you strike the bunch, and whatever the marbles come out after you strike belongs to the person.
Out of the bunch, when they fall out of the bunch.
It belongs to the person who has struck. And the number of marbles each striker collects, maximum, is the winner. So I was very excited. I took my striker and I aimed and I was about to strike the bunch. Baba said, first, my turn. Well, you can't refuse Baba when he says he wants to do it first. So Baba took the striker, and Rustom and I watched Baba with such intensity. He aimed at the bunch, and with such force he struck at the bunch that not only the marbles came out of the bunch, but because they were glass marbles, some of them broke to pieces. And Rustom and I were stunned, our eyes really popping out of our sockets to see the kind of force that Baba used to strike at the marbles and break them to pieces. And then I said, Baba, now it's my turn. Baba said, the game is over. The game is over. He just got up from the bed, and Rustom and I just collected the rest of the marbles and ran after Baba. He came in the living room here, again spent some time with the family, and then he took his Mandali, and you could see Baba walking out of the lane, and in his car they all went to Satara.
So we sat in the car and we started going back. From Pune we are going to Satara. On the way the road is blocked. Why? Because Chow En Lai is expected to pay a visit from China. Baba asked me, what's the matter? Ask them. The people there, what they have lined up, and police vans are there and all that sort of thing is there. So I said, what's the matter? So no, he says he's going to, he's going for, going towards the National Academy or something like that on that side. He's being taken there, driven there for a little visit. So Dr. Nilkant says to Baba, Baba, I wanted to see Chow En Lai, now he's here, can I stand in the line? Because the car had to be parked, car cannot go further. Baba says, you want to see the face of that person? Why do you want to see the face of such person, you see? Why do you want to go? No, but I wanted to see him. So also Baba said, already go there, see. So then Baba and we all sit there. What had happened was that because of son, Baba, instead of being in the front seat, he had kept himself in the rear seat and made Nilkant sit in the front seat. So now Nilkant got out of that, so Baba says, and we had taken a turn, so the son was not, and Baba always preferred the front seat. So Baba comes out and sits there in the front seat, and we are waiting for the police to give a whistle so that the traffic resumes. After long waiting of an hour or so, at last the traffic resumed, and Nilkant by that time came, and Baba turned to him and said, well, did you see his beautiful face? You wanted to see it so much? He says, yes, Baba, I saw him. Well, how did he look? Well, he looked like a Chinese. And that's all. And we were talking and joking and all that. Of all the people, you wanted to see a Chinese face and this and that and all that sort of thing, as in good humor. So I'm driving the car, and then we are going. We have left the place very early, instead of leaving it at 5:30 or when the match or the shadows cast on the pitch, 6 o'clock or 5:30, 5:30 I think it is. So we left at 3 o'clock. So Baba says, go slow, go slow. If we go early, then they might inquire what happened, did you not enjoy this? Go slow. So I was driving slowly, leisurely and all that. What happened was that just 12 miles away from Satara, the accident took place. I don't know what happened. We were very slow. All that was being talked about at that time, that we had played a cricket match just opposite that, at the spot of the accident, where Baba had played with us a cricket match in which he joined both the sides, and both the sides scored equally. There was no victor, no vanquished. That was a great day, you see. We spent the whole day there. So it was fresh in our mind, and they started saying that here is the spot, we stayed in this rest house here, and this is how it was. So we were just And just then something happened. We don't know what. I don't know personally. Nobody there knows what happened. But the car was going this way, and when I recovered my senses, the car was facing Pune.
On December 2nd, Baba set out for Pune to watch a cricket match and do some important work. Baba and the Mandali watched the match at a distance from under the shade of a tree. Returning from the match, Baba stopped at his house in Pune to drop off his brother Jal. While there, he played a game of marbles with his nephews Rustom and Sohrab. Baba, going first, struck the glass marbles so hard that some of the marbles shattered into pieces. That was the end of the game, and Baba left to return to Satara. Eruch drove. Baba sat in the front. Vishnu, Pendu and Nilu sat in the rear seat. Then 13 miles from Satara, at a place named Udtara, the car inexplicably went out of control. The car went off the road. Eruch tried to get the car back under control and back on the road. As he did, the left side of the car, the passenger side, the side that Baba was on, ploughed through a culvert, and then the car went back into the ditch, spinning around and coming to a stop facing back toward Pune. Nilu died. Pendu was thrown from the car unconscious, and Eruch went unconscious. Vishnu, the least injured, got out of the car and opened Baba's side door to check on Baba. As he did, he saw an effulgence of light that overwhelmed him. After a time, he could see only Baba's face, who looked as if he had won a tremendous victory. Eruch then came to and waved down a passing car, helped Baba into it, and Baba and Vishnu went on to Grafton. Eruch then flagged down a truck and placed Nilu and Pendu into it, and then himself, passing out again after the exertion. The truck took Eruch, Pendu, and Nilu's body to Rosewood.
Something had happened, so I got myself conscious, you see, and my hand was on the steering wheel, and I am just looking. I got up, I was conscious, and I'm there. I said to Baba, what happened? And Baba simply showed his tongue. So it was bleeding. And then he said, it's paining very much. I said, is it an accident, Baba? Baba didn't say. So Vishnu, who was not hurt at all, so it was a glorious thing that I saw. It was, I said, but where is Nilu? Where is Pendu? I just recovered, you see, my consciousness, because my ribs were broken and they were thrown on either side. I'm not dilating upon that, but what happened was Dr. Nilkant died on the spot, and Baba, I stopped a car going, I made Baba walk all the distance, little knowing that he had busted his hip joint, but he still walked, you see, with support of my hand, got him there, made him sit in a car, and made Vishnu go with him, and then he was taken to Grafton. And then Baba told me that we should not go back to Pune, but to any hospital, but come back to the Rosewood. So I went there. So Baba tells me while sitting in the car, that somebody's car, Says, don't go to Pune, come back to Satara. So I said, yes, Baba. I covered up, locked the car there, parked as it was, collected all the belongings that were necessary to be taken back home, lifted Pendu up the truck and put him in the truck, lifted Nilu and put him in the truck there. I said, no, their heads will be rattling on the truck there, so it is better to take the back rear seat and put them under their necks and all that sort of thing. I did, and I told the truck man to drive us at a certain place where we were living in Satara. And I said, I know the place, I'll take you. I don't know what happened afterwards, because I must have swooned again. I was not conscious. I find myself on bed in Satara at a place.
When the car carrying Baba and Vishnu arrived at the Grafton bungalow, Baba's sister Mani was the first to see Baba. Then Mani rushed to Rosewood to alert Dr. Donkin of Baba's accident. Bhau Kalchuri, who was in Rosewood at the time of the accident, describes what took place next.
When the taxi was brought and Baba was brought there in the bungalow, then our Mani, I never saw her cycling. She came on cycling to Rosewood from Grafton. So she came on cycle, and on the road she got down and she says, Don. Don went there. And she told him that very slowly, that Baba met with an accident, please come immediately. And she left. And Don took the cycle and he went. Now I was just watching, and I said, what happened? What happened that I thought that there must be someone very serious in Grafton. Some ladies Mandali. Someone must be very serious, and that's why money came. I forgot that Baba had asked me to take complete rest and don't move about. I forgot completely and went running. Cycle was there, but I did not take cycle. And went there. And what did I find? That Baba was full of blood. Full of blood, and he was glorious, as if he won some battle. So happy, cheerful. And that glory shining. And Baba looked at me, means go back. Go back. And blood all over blood. And then, of course, because of his order, I returned. And then how could I take rest? And then the truck comes. Eruch, Pendu, of course, they were lifted and they brought down Dr. Nilu. His body was brought and put on my bed. He was dead. I went to Baba's bungalow. Order was not to move about, not to get up from the bed. But I forgot everything and went to the civil surgeon. And I found him in the club. And I said, please just come immediately. Accidental cases are there. Without delay. He came. And he examined first Dr. Nilu. He said he is no more. Then he examined Pindu. Pindu was also in coma. And Eruch, and he said, immediately bring them to hospital, immediately. And the civil surgeon came immediately, and then he just gave order to the doctors what they should do. And Baba was brought. His tongue was also cut. So tongue, in order to put suture, he was brought. And when I went to him, the compassionate father, that of course one cannot understand his compassion. He had all this hip joint broken, and just here and there also whole body, all bruises here, there, tongue was cut. I went to him and he looked at me and he caresses me. And I was, that here Baba is suffering in this, and he caresses me, knowing fully well that I am just, I have lost my awareness. Caresses, and civil surgeon comes.
While Mani went to get Dr. Donkin, Dr. Goher, who was at Grafton, describes what she saw when the car brought Baba and Vishnu to Grafton.
Baba went to see this cricket match in Pune, and we were expecting him about 6 or 6:30 evening, and at that time we see a car drive in, and Baba and Vishnu, and we just couldn't believe it that Baba had another accident. And see, Baba, we didn't even know what was happening to Baba, whether he could stand or he could walk, and there was nobody there. Nilu had died. Eruch wasn't available. Pendu was in the hospital. Eruch was, they were all taken to the civil hospital, state hospital. Only Vishnu came, and he was in a shocked state. He didn't know what. And Mani ran. Vishnu said that something has happened to Baba. So we all women brought a chair near the car and helped Baba sit in the chair and carried the chair to the bedroom. Later we discovered that he had broken his hip joint. Baba had his foot up, and see, you call it the dashboard, where in the front seat he was sitting next to Eruch, and he had his knee up like this, and his foot was resting on the seat. So that jerk, against the dashboard, it pushed his whole femur backwards. So the upper part of the asset of the socket, you see, was broken. And we were not sure which part is really broken, whether the head is broken or whether it's cracked or any circulation. So Don was very concerned about that. Anyway, when we took Baba to his bedroom and made him rest, and in the meantime Mani ran to the Mandali's bungalow, told Don. Don came, and he went to the hospital, called the civil surgeon, and they wanted to take an X-ray of Baba, so we took him to the civil hospital. I accompanied Baba because Don had to do other things. And Baba, this accident in 56, the whole of Baba's right side was injured. In the 52, his left arm and left leg. And the 56 one, the whole of his right side, right from the face down. See, he also bit his tongue, and his tongue was cut, a triangular in front tip of the tongue. The gums were cut across. There were wounds on his eyes, and just under, he just missed cutting into the eyeball. On the chin, it was a painful sight to see Baba like this. And Baba stayed very calm and quiet throughout. And then we said, Baba, we'll have to take you to the hospital. It was a horrible hospital. But anyway, Don said this is the only place. So an ambulance came and we carried Baba to the hospital. And they put on a plaster cast right from the lower part of the abdomen right up to the toe. And it was a very most uncomfortable. So, and then see the tongue part which was broken, cut, it had to be sutured. So we took Baba to the operation theatre, and the civil surgeon wanted to stitch it up, and Don wasn't anywhere around. I was wondering, where is Don, what is happening to him? I was all alone with Baba, there was no one else, no other Mandali was there, and Don was busy trying to read Baba's x-rays to find out what exactly was the matter, what part of the bone was broken. So I stood by Baba's side, and no anesthesia was given, but Baba held my hand and he said, hold my hand, and he said, see that I don't produce a sound. If I produce a sound, you make me aware of it by holding my hand tighter. You know. So I was there by his side holding his hand, and nothing, no sound was produced. And the suturing was done. At several places suturing was done.
Then what had happened was the doctor was attending, and a word comes from Baba in spite of all that. Look at his compassion, his care and concern, I am just telling you. He sends a word from the place. Of course, Baba was taken there a little bit earlier, about an hour earlier. So he must have been taken care of by the doctors. Dr. Donkin was there and Dr. Goher was there. So he sends a word to tell me. He says, you remember the fast that we are having? But if now the fast can be broken. Yeah. Because if the doctors give you medicine, you can take with water. You can take water. And I had completely forgotten about the fast and completely forgotten about everything, you know. I had recovered my consciousness, and I said yes. So I told, but Pendu was unconscious. Nilkant was not conscious at all. I thought that Nilkant was also unconscious. But then I started finding out how are these people, what is happening. So they told me that Nilkant has no life, but Pendu is unconscious. We were then taken to the hospital, and we were housed in hospital for many days.
Before Meher Baba's 1956 accident in Satara, he stayed at the Grafton bungalow from early 1954 up to December 2nd, 1956. Baba stayed with the women Mandali at Grafton, while the men Mandali stayed nearby at Rosewood. Meheru Irani, a close disciple of Meher Baba's, stayed with Baba during this time and remembers their stay at Grafton.
From Mahabaleshwar in 1954, Baba came to stay in Satara here till 56. We left Satara very suddenly from here after the accident the second auto accident in 56 for medical treatment for Baba in Pune. And at the time we went, leaving everything behind, just a few things that we might need over there, we knew that Baba would never be coming back again here. It felt that way, that whatever it was, his work was done, and we'll not be coming back to this place. Although we did love it and really enjoyed being here. Now, as you step inside, this is the dining room, and beyond it was the sitting room. As you're facing the way I'm going, towards the left, in that further corner, was Baba's seat where he would sit. And there were chairs over here or sofas here where we would relax with Baba and spend many hours, many days, many months, in fact 2 years, being in Baba's company here, and Baba would have Mani read and enjoy many books over here. There was a big dining table here in which, when God Speaks manuscript was written, Baba gave his signet to it before sending it off to America to be printed by the Sufis over there. Now that door you see was the door leading to Meheramani's bedroom. And beyond it was a tiny little bedroom over there, hardly enough for one bed, but we had 2 beds squeezed in, which in the monsoon time I would come there. But there was a door in the center here. The windows about where they are, maybe a little bigger, but different, there were bars to them, and a door leading out to the veranda. And the veranda went the length of the house, with a little portion jutting out also, which is the one where Baba walked so much. And from the railings of the veranda, Baba would feed Sheba. And there's that picture of Sheba kissing Baba. Mehra taught her, kiss Sheba, kiss Baba, and she would raise her head up to Baba to be kissed, and Baba would feed her carrots. Now this door here is the one leading to Baba's bedroom. But when the accident took place, that evening we said, Baba's gone to Pune, let's have our supper early, so that when he comes, we have already had that out of the way, Baba wouldn't have to wait for us. And we were talking at the table, and it so happened that the talk came to Nilu, and in detail we were describing what a wonderful doctor he was, how he'd helped so-and-so, how he'd helped so-and-so and all. And probably it was happening at the same time the accident happened. Because then when Baba came, it was something so different, it was a different homecoming, we were so shocked. We quickly got, Vishnu had brought Baba in the car, and we carried Baba, we had him sit on the chair with a handle armchair, and we carried Baba in. As shaky as we were, as shocked as we were, somehow all of us, all the women, with Sev Rakhma joining in, managed to bring him to the bedroom. And there, Mani was sent on bicycle to go and call Don from the Mandali's place. And at that time, Baba told us, I think that Nilu's gone. We didn't know what had happened. It was only later we found out everything. This is a little village called Udtara, and just a few miles closer to Pune was where the accident took place in '56, when we were staying in Satara at Grafton's. In that period, I remember that Dr. Nilu, Baba would give special attention to Dr. Nilu. He went with Baba in '56 to the America and England and all, and that trip to the West with Baba. And he used to be doing the night duty. And in the daytime, there was no way he could rest. So both night and day, he hardly had any sleep, to the extent that he got insomnia and it was difficult for him to sleep afterwards. Yet when he came back to Satara, Baba was giving him night duty to do also. A little before the accident, Baba had been on a long bus trip, I think to Andhra or Hyderabad, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure about it. But there had been an episode at that time which had really affected Nilu a great deal. And it had a tremendous impact on him. And at the time when Nilu would come beforehand to be ready, and there was a window there on the veranda, and Nilu was told to stand there and recount the episode, what happened in the car. And he said that the car was going at great speed. Eruch was driving, and he lost control of the car in the sense that he had been so foggy with fatigue and not sleeping in the nighttime and traveling in the daytime, that the car had skid 2 wheels off the road, and it felt that in no way could it right itself, that for sure there would be an accident. And Baba just leaned his weight, his arm, towards the driver, and somehow miraculously the car righted itself. And Nilu said that truly now, 100%, I believe Baba to be God. He showed it so clearly at the time. But then it was as if Baba had postponed the accident for the right time it should happen and the right place. But Nilu was so excited about that. And also Baba was very loving to Nilu, and he told Nilu to write poetry. And Nilu, absolutely, his poetry was not at all anything, even the lowest thing that you could call poetry. He didn't have the talent to write, but he himself believed it, that he was a poet. And he would very seriously say, you know, I never knew I was a poet, and I don't know what Baba's done, but he's given me this thing to write it. And everybody was told to let him believe that he was. So he was really very happy and with that special feeling that Baba truly loved him, because Baba could make you feel that you were just the worst part of rubbish and not at all worthwhile, and made you really feel horrible with yourself. But Baba made him feel very happy, and very happy that Baba loved him so much and really pleased with himself. So when they left that day of the accident for Pune, I think it was to watch a cricket match, if I'm not mistaken. All the Mandali who were traveling with him had come to Grafton's from that area where Sheba's stable was, that small gate. They stopped there, and Baba from the house walked to the car, to the road, and Nilu was in a very jolly mood, and I thought quite cocky, and he was waving goodbye to all of us, and you know, something very out of character with that Nilu was, but he was in a really happy mood that Baba was taking him along, whereas usually Baba would leave him behind. And Kekobad was telling Baba not to go that day, that it was inauspicious to be traveling at that time. But Baba did. Went to Pune, had a very enjoyable time. And just before reaching here, the Dak Bungalow and this little village, the accident took place. And from here we will be going to that site and see if we can find the right spot. This is the place where Baba's second accident happened in December of '56. What Vishnu remembers of the occasion was that Baba had such a satisfactory expression on his face that you get from having achieved successfully a very difficult task. And he had seen Baba's universal form, the same form that Krishna had revealed to Arjuna on the battlefield. And I think from that time, just the force of his presence and the whole thing of the accident and the power of Baba's thing was a shock to him. And from that day, his heart was affected. In '62, he passed away in Guru Prasad through heart attack, through heart failure. So after that time, he was not able to do the bazaar duties that he used to do before as his health deteriorated. But he had said, please don't ever take the duty away from me of doing night duty for Baba, which he did till the end. Jai Baba. Every member of those in the car who survived the accident were very badly affected. Pendu was not the same again. I mean, his pelvis was fractured in 3 places. And Eruch, for a long time, was very depressed with the whole situation because he felt that he was responsible for Nilu's death. And from that time, he hasn't driven a car, although he has his car license. He said, I will only drive in an extreme case of emergency. Never wants to drive a car and feel responsible for any such happening again.
It's now over a month. Now we assemble again in Pune. Baba has been taken to Pune and we are there. So I am better now after the ribs have, of course, what you call healed or have been joined or whatever you call it. Nilkant has been cremated, which I don't know, I never attended. Pendu is there, he is being shifted, you see, he is still in hospital for a little bit more, but I have been told by Baba, informed by Baba to come back to Pune. So I come back and naturally the first thing I would like to go and see is to see Baba. So I go to the house that was rented for Baba there. When I entered the room, I think Mani was seated there outside, typing out letters or something like that, or family letters. So I go in, I told Mani, can I go and see Baba? He says, yeah, go inside. As soon as I entered, Baba is lying in bed with his leg in traction or something like that, and from there, seeing me, he gives this signal. So he says to me, means I could follow the signal. He says, well, you wanted to see that the car should be dashed against the tree, and are you satisfied now? This is how I am received, you see. And I just look ashamed, you see. I don't know what to say. I am so grieved and all that. And I am really very grieved because I am the cause of all this. I feel that way, still feel that way. But as days roll by and all that, again the Comforter is there. He comforts me and says, why are you so presumptuous to feel and even to think like this, that you are the cause of it? Why do you say that? Who is the cause? You are not the cause. I am the cause. You are just an instrument. Yes, I said, Baba, you may say whatever you like, but I do feel it. I know it. And he would just try to comfort me and all that. But the most painful thing was that Dr. Donkin, of course, his orthopedic knowledge came into full force during the second accident, and he sent the X-ray plates to England to verify and for prognosis. And the prognosis came from the world-renowned surgeon that this man will never be able to walk. He just threw the plates there on the table and said, this man will never be able to walk. And that was the report received, and I was the one to read the report, and it pained me a lot. It was a grievous wound, you may call it. Well, Baba looked at, I read it, Baba looked at me and said, he smiled and says, they say that I won't be able to walk, but I will show you that I will walk. You will see that I will be walking. I said, okay. It will be good if you were to walk again. A lot of months are passing by, rehabilitation is being tried. Baba is made to sit on a cycle to get, he didn't want to go in for an artificial joint or anything of that sort. He wanted to create what are the medical terms I don't know, but they made him sit on a bicycle over here, it was in the corner, to create an artificial joint, you see. And so he was made to paddle the cycle and all that. Harry Kenmore had come, the chiropractor, Dr. Donkin, the orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Goher Irani is there, Dr. Nilu has passed away. So care is being taken. Of course, I see him so helpless like that, and it grieved me. It was really very painful to see these things. And time and again Baba will say, you'll see me walking and all that. Many things happen, time passes by. Time is a great healer also. But this wound has not healed at all. Then one day out of the blue, Dr. Donkin brings, to his own amazement, he reads in one of the books called King Jesus by some author, a renowned scholar who has done some research work and all that Jesus limped.
But the ritual assault upon King Jesus by the 7 notables of Tabor was a more ancient and cruel one by far. performed again after more than 1,000 years in fulfillment of prophecy.
So Baba says, get that and he tells Donkin that he should read out so that I can hear it. So, well, I heard the whole description that how Jesus himself had to limp.
They wrestled with him 7 against 1 until they had forced him to kneel with his thighs divaricated. Then the tallest and boldest of them climbed on the stone and leaped down on him. And by that act of violence, the marring was completed. Jesus' left thigh was put out of joint, the head of the bone being displaced and lodged in the muscle of the thigh, and his left leg stretched out in spasm and twisted, so that thereafter he limped with what is called the sacred lameness.
Well, Baba says, see that? See, have you heard it? It has to be so. I had to limp. It is a mark of divinity. I had to. See how it is. You will see me walking. See me walking. I'll walk without this, because this limping was also with the help of people. And so that's months are rolling by, a year passes by and all that. And all of a sudden, of course, we would help him out, we will take him for a stroll here or there, he will be made to, rehabilitation was being done and so forth. But one day while I went there to pick him out of the chair, help him out of the chair, he says, no, you keep it there. And he himself, it was in Pune, he himself got up and says, you see me now walking. So that's how it was, he started walking. So didn't I tell you that I'll walk? See now, see that how I walk. All this he did at great pains. Naturally there must have been pain there. But as the comforter, whether it be for humanity or for one individual, it's nothing for him. It's just the same. He remains the comforter for all and even for an individual. So he did give me comfort by walking all by himself, and he's not doing that, he's just showing off. If you see in one of the films there, he's just trying to walk and show us how fast he can walk. But at what pains he must be doing that. All this, it was an impact on me, on my heart, on my mind, and on my understanding. That who could he be? That who could he be? He is the same one. It's not that I am taking it upon myself. I am saying this out for all to know this, that he is the comforter for the one as well as for the many and for all.
Oh yes, Baba, when Baba would walk, It was like, he was floating in the air. It was unbelievable, the sight, the majestic walk that
It was like King of Kings.
And it was hard to imagine that Baba would be walking and then you see people, literally running behind him. And it was an amazing sight to see Baba with, the radiance and
his hair flowing.
And the wonderful that, the walk that he would have. It was we are forever thankful to Baba for letting us have that experience. So it was just great. Unbelievable.
But even after the accident, even after the accident, then when Baba would be doing his, physio, walking every day as a practice. He would walk. Even in that walk, in that limp, it was majestic. It was not like any ordinary person.
It was not like
having a limp.
A handicapped person. It was so amazing, even with the limp, with the pain, and you would still see, Baba,
still having that majesty. There was no
and
doubt
then when
about it.
he would call everyone and see how I walk now, and he would take sometimes Eruch's hand, or you take Francis's hand, and Baba would walk, and Baba would be, if you could feel that Baba is making Francis or Eruch walk more than, them making him walk. So that was amazing,
Yeah.
Amazing. It was really amazing.
Baba went to Pune to recuperate in a bungalow that was arranged for Baba by Meherji. He stayed in Pune for about 6 weeks, then shifted back to Meherabad. Bhau Kalchuri tells a story of what length Baba would go to teach a lesson, even at the cost of increased suffering for him.
After this accident, when Baba was taken to Pune, one person comes there. His name was Chauhan. And he says, I must see Baba. Baba says, all right, call him. Now just see, all-knowing how, all-knowing is there, suffering, but no one is away from him. No one. Whole creation was with him. And I should say that was the time when everyone was very close to him, because he was working for everyone and everything. So then Baba told, he came, and Baba says, what do you want? What do you want? He says, I want your blessing. Baba said, don't ask for my blessing. Now tell me, what do you want and I will give you? Tell me. He says, I want your blessing. Baba says, I warn you. You must not ask this. Blessing, don't ask. You cannot digest my blessing. What you want, you tell me, and I will give you. Just tell me. I want your blessing. Baba says, all right. On 25th February, I will be there at Meherabad. You come there. Blessing? You have no idea. And that's why I warn you. Don't ask for my blessing. And Meherabad on 25th February, you come there. Go. He went. Now, Baba was suffering. He would not be able to sit. And of course, Baba came to Meherabad. And his birthday. And he was really suffering like anything. And he was taken to Mandali hall. Why? Because that person who had asked Baba's blessing Baba had called him. So he came. He came and Baba says that now tell me, what do you want? I want your blessing. Baba said, I had warned you not to ask my blessing and still you insist. He says, I want your blessing. Now I am giving warning, third time, that blessing you cannot digest, don't ask. Ask me. I want your blessing. Given. Go. So he left. Now 15th March, we would go to Pune. We would go to Pune on 15th March, come back after 15th June. We went there to Guru Prasad at the gate. Who was standing there? Same Chauhan. Same Chauhan, but we did not stop the car. We went inside the bungalow. He was standing near the gate from morning to evening. And in the evening, poor Eruch, he was just taking walk. And he looks at him, Eruch, Eruch. He says, what? What do you want? Come here. He went. And he says that please tell Baba, my wife is on the street. My children are on the street. We have lost our house. We have lost everything. And now, what should I do? Eruch says, Baba had asked you not to ask his blessing. Now you are complaining? Oh, that was my mistake. Please tell and tell Baba that I am in a very bad plight. Now, Eruch went and told Baba. Baba said, what to say? This man, I had told him thrice not to ask my blessing. And he asked my blessing. And now he complains. He complains. All right, ask him to come tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And Eruch told him. Next day he comes. He comes at 9 o'clock exact. Baba said, did I not ask you not to ask for my blessing? That was my mistake, Baba. I did not know. Baba said, all right, wash your feet and come here. Baba bowed down to him. 701 times and gave 1,000 rupees to him. And immediately he goes to Bombay. He got partnership in shipping company. He got a house, good house, and residential, and he got one car. Now, he comes to Guru Prasad Pune on Sunday. And Baba says, how are you? By your blessing, I am very happy. Baba says, this is not my blessing. This is not my blessing. You are happy, I am happy. But this is not my blessing. This is not my blessing.
Arnavaz Dadachanji and her husband Nariman owned the car that Baba used at the time of the accident. Arnavaz relates an interesting story of how that 52 Chevrolet came to be the vehicle which carried the God-man towards Satara that fateful day in 1956.
Now we had an Oldsmobile, green Oldsmobile, And Saroj said, Nariman, why don't you buy a new car? So Nariman felt like it and he wanted to buy a new car. But then I didn't like it because I didn't want to sell off Oldsmobile. But then I didn't want to disappoint him. I said, okay, buy it. But then we had two cars and we didn't need two cars because we only wanted one. And I was given the order by Baba not to drive. That was another order that he gave me, never to drive. So I was in a dilemma what to do. Then Baba came to our apartment and I asked Baba, which car should we keep? So Baba took the board, his alphabet board, flicked it very high, and then it came on his hand. Keep the Chevrolet. So that's how we kept Chevrolet. And I somehow, from the very beginning, never liked Chevrolet. I don't know why. That feeling. And he never allowed us to use that Chevrolet car for the whole year till he met with the accident. So we kept the Chevrolet, but he never allowed us to use it. He would send for it and send back. Within a few days, again, he would ask for it and would send back. And that's how he kept the whole year round. And that's how he met with the accident, in that fatal accident in 1956, in which Dr. Nilu died. And all was so badly injured, especially Baba's hip was so badly injured that he suffered till the end, and all the time he went on complaining. And once I remember, as I was massaging his shoulder at the back, he turned to me and said, he took his hand and made a circle round the hip, this hip I mean, but I can't do it. He made a circle and he said, the suffering of the whole world is based on this.
When I had to give so many shots of penicillin to Baba, I was told that by dawn that blisters will get infected and we should give some antibiotics. And I was very hesitant to put a needle in Baba. And it reminded me of a song Baba had written, a Gujarati song in the early 20s, And Baba said how Christ and how Zoroaster suffered. And Baba once said that I'll be made into minced meat. And so I don't know why I connected that with me. And I said, here I'm pricking him and cutting his muscle into bits, by all these pricks that I'm giving him. And that used to upset me and worry me so much. And I was always very apprehensive, used to pain me tremendously, so much so that except for this or taking care of Baba or looking after him, I wasn't observant of anything that was happening around me. And therefore people, when they ask me, what did you do in your 22 years of close contact with Baba? I said, I don't remember anything. Except for the medical part that I've done, I don't remember anything that happened besides this, because after the 52 accident, all that I've seen is that Baba's suffering. Baba used to suffer so much, he used to be in pain so much. Every time for us who were near to him, we saw Baba, so much of Baba's pain and his suffering all the time. We knew that for the darshan he had to bring out his divinity and his glory and all that. But as a human, with his human body, he was suffering tremendously. Baba would look so sad, depressed, so much in pain, and as if the whole burden of the whole world was on him. And that used to hurt us a lot. We would try to make him as comfortable as possible, but that was not within our scope or within our limits. It was not possible. Baba had to bear this burden, and we knew it.
Yeah, Baba's suffering went on increasing more and more and more and more. And as he said that I give you suffering, I suffer so much that I just give you very little suffering. That suffering helps in my work. But I mean, it was not easy to see Baba suffer. There have been times when he used to work very hard and we didn't know what was it about. Something in the world that he was working with. And then later we would know why he suffered so much. Why he comes down, he's God, why does he want to come down as man? Because he comes down as man to give push to the whole universe. And every being on earth gets the push. What does suffering do? Suffering takes us closer to him. More closer to him. He said, God is not to be understood but to be experienced. And he said only one thing, love me, just love me. And what is love? Baba Lavas asked me how to love him. I said, what is love? Love is to obey him, to do what he wants, to resign to his wish and will, every wish and will. By doing that is love. And that takes us closer to him. That is love.
Meheru was deeply affected by the accident to her beloved Baba. She took great care of him, providing every conceivable comfort that she could. However, she had no other choice but to watch as the God-man suffered helplessly for his creation.
Baba is the avatar, like Jesus Christ. Baba is the avatar, and he suffered for us. See, you know that. You know that. How many years of silence? No, he loved singing. He had a beautiful voice for singing, but he gave up his singing, sacrificed his love for talking, singing, all for us because he loved us so much. He went through so much suffering, 2 motor car accidents and other suffering, much. That's why I always I speak to Baba's photo, I tell Baba that only you know how much you suffered. Even we cannot know, living with him, we do not. So what I want to tell you that you are very fortunate to love him, because now it is time for us to love him. He loved us. Now we must love him, yes?
Baba would want us to be there, to have someone there. You know, the hard time, the difficult time he was going through, he was wanting us to be there and share it with him. Here was Baba, who was so active, so energetic, so vital. I mean, to see him there, helpless on the bed, depending on Mehera and all of us. Especially on Mehera, he would look to for any little thing that he needed, any help he needed. And I remember one time that he had us all gathered around him and told us to stand and look at him. Look at him. And you could feel that it was a very special time. There was a very special reason for it. And you see the pain on his face, the silence. It was not the physical pain of the moment, but I think what he saw ahead, what he would be going through. And tears came down his face. Tears rolled down his eyes. I couldn't look at his face. As he said, look at me. So I just looked at his body rather than his face. But I knew what was happening. And, you know, just that silent action like that showed us in a way the depth of what his suffering was. That he didn't show to others, that silent, but we had the privilege, the thing of being able to see him do it. But I just want to say that that accident not only affected the Mandali so much, but what an effect it had on Baba's whole routine and life at that time. That he never ever walked without pain. The fact that he was walking was a miracle in itself. The doctor said that he had done his own operation, his own surgery to be able to walk like that. And so often if a little bit of the grit came, interfered with the socket joint over there, it would be so painful. And you could feel it. You could see it and how much Baba was suffering. And we realized that what Baba had done to himself was put an extra binding on himself. The time he talked about spending time in prison, going to jail and all, you realize that he had put these bindings on himself still further, that he was going through a more difficult period of jail than anybody who in prison could be, because walking was such an outlet for him. When he was restless, when he was working, he would stride back and forth to the Mandali or in the house, to the veranda and everywhere like that. And you realize that everything of that was changed. And he would say during those days that Christ suffered on the cross once. For me, it is a daily crucifixion. Not only has he bound himself by silence all these years, but walking has been such an important part of his life, and he's put that extra binding on himself. And we feel that all this he did for the good of mankind. The pain he took on this universal joint was like the pain he took on for all the universe like that. And in Meherabad, when I came back after visiting the site of the accident, the full force of what Baba had gone through came to me like that. Jai Baba.
Why does the avatar suffer? Man enjoys or suffers in this illusory world depending on his karma. The avatar is beyond all karma. He does not take upon himself the karma of the world, nor does he become bound by it. But he takes upon himself the suffering of the world, which is the result of its karma. Humanity finds its redemption from its karma through his suffering. The avatar has a universal mind. As God, he sees all souls as his own. He sees himself and everything, and all minds are contained in his universal mind. Feeling himself as one with all, and in all, he suffers infinitely for our limitations, ignorance, and physical, mental, and spiritual sufferings. His outward physical suffering is only a token and sign of his enormous inner burden. The total volume of the suffering of billions of human minds in existence is beyond imagination. His physical suffering is a divine redemptive exchange for our human suffering.
Criminal charges were brought before Eruch for negligent driving resulting in a death. After a lengthy court process, the judge found no negligence on Eruch's part. The verdict for the cause of the accident was given as an act of God.
A car crashed over in Satara, blood on the road. Our father's bones were broken, now you've been told. There are no accidents. Yeah, there are no accidents, you know, only God's will. Now there are no
Yes, so after the accident and Eruch and Pendu were shifted to the civil hospital in Satara, since it was a road accident involving a death of a person, it had to be notified to the police. And so while Eruch was still under treatment, it seemed the police people came there to investigate. And despite Eruch being in great pain and under treatment, they sort of started to interrogate him about the accident and tried to fix a criminal case upon him, because and they wanted to sort of convict him for rash and negligent driving resulting in the death of a person, or something like that. So they tried to get him to talk so that they could fix the case properly against him and get him convicted. So he would answer their questions and whatever. And he was actually under arrest. But then, I don't know how, I suppose some lawyer must have been arranged, and he got the necessary bail issued for Eruch, so that they didn't have to lock him up or something, because he was under treatment. It was quite genuine, and the person who was treating him was a civil surgeon himself, who is a government employee. So after the case lingered for many years, I don't know, months, I have no recollection, but it was quite a long time. And the prosecution tried their utmost to prove charges, but when the day of the final hearing came, the judge who was deputed found no worth in any of their charges, and he just dismissed the whole thing as untenable. And then some verdict had to be given about the cause of the accident. If it was not rash and negligent driving, what was it? So he says it was an act of God. And truly the whole thing seemed to be an act of God.
There are no accidents, you know, only God's will. Yeah, there are no accidents, you know, only God's will. A car crashed over in Satara, blood on the road. Our father's bones were broken, now you've been told.
In wisdom's firmament, the moon of love is rising full, and love's flood tide in surging waves is flowing everywhere.